Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Thank you very much for joining us. Alan Ruff, Neil Murray and Tam Cowan are here with me on this Tuesday. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell and you'll get all the notifications of our unique video content. And lots of people have been engaging with us as well. It's absolutely free to watch on a regular basis. We will read out as many opinions as we possibly can. We've got a quiz and let's not forget we've got a competition.
It's another fantastic competition from PLZ Soccer for your chance to win this signed print of Arsenal and Scotland fullback Kieran Tierney by artist Gio Thompson. You have to subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel and put your answers in the comments section below to this simple question. What is Kieran Tierney's Arsenal squad number? So don't forget to subscribe to PLZ Soccer and put your answers in the comments section below. Good luck.
Not a bad prize, Ruffy. Kieran Tierney signed it as well. That's a good one, isn't it?
Yep. It's one of our big players, one of our successes. They get down to England, and I'm sure it doesn't matter what team you support. He's with Arsenal now, so it'll be a wonderful framed picture.
Yeah, absolutely. You can get it up on your wall just before he moves to Newcastle. That'll be fantastic.
That'll be a good move for us as well. Newcastle's in the way up.
Yeah.
Should qualify for Europa League this year minimum, so wouldn't be a bad move either.
Yeah,
and he's closer to home.
Yeah, it's another good point, Tam. You never know. Well, we'll wait and see if he's going to battle it out with Arsenal and try and get himself into that side before the end of the season, and whether they're going to actually win the English Premier League. You can give us your view on that as well. The quiz, because Scotland are playing Spain, so we thought we'd do something that would catch your imagination on previous victories against them. They've been thin on the ground, but here's the question. Who scored a double for Scotland the last time the team defeated Spain? Roughly, I think you would know that one. I think you were on the case with it. So
I think I might know that one. I wasn't there. I wasn't in the
would you know
squad or anything.
I think we maybe discussed it a couple of weeks ago.
We did, so yeah, so you would know it, Tam.
I would have a stab at it.
Yeah, well, okay then. We'll give you the answer at the end of the programme. If you think you know, fire it out there on the feed. If you want to engage with us in your optimism or maybe pessimism about Scotland's chances against Spain, then we'd love to hear from you on that as well. Congratulations, incidentally, I didn't mention it on Monday's show. Well done to George McLean, who's from New Craig Hall. You know that, Ruffy. I mean, was that not close to where you maybe had your house when you were playing for the Hibbies? I know you didn't.
Yeah, it was Gifford.
Was it Gifford?
I think it was probably on the road. I think I went through the scheme before I got to my country house.
Yes, absolutely. there's your money. How to alienate yourself from the fans.
Is that where all the horses were stationed?
Yes, absolutely. He's done that on the, as you know, Neil, he's done that on the show as well. And we're going to talk Scotland against Spain. Lots of news items as well to discuss. One of them, of course, was Celtic 1, Rangers 1. It was a late equaliser for Celtic in this match. Quite a lot of interest in it because it was covered by Sky. And the main interest that's fallen from the game is not maybe the goals that were scored, Ruffy. It's certainly a headbutt on Fran Alonso, who's the Celtic coach, from Rangers coach Craig McPherson. Might get him in a bit of bother. I know a lot of people are now, not too happy about the incident because it's beamed out there, sending out the wrong message.
Yeah, it's something you don't want to see at any level of football, and particularly the women's football has been very progressive just now, but we don't want any bad things going ahead with the games that they're playing, but there obviously must have been words said because it seemed to be a reaction, but yeah, I think he'll get a ban or a fine or something like that, it has to be seen to be punished anyway. Yeah,
well, there was a few unsavoury moments in it. I think post-match press conference, certainly Fran Alonso said he was called a little rat before the incident had taken place. So certainly, of course, the last thing you want to see is that element that I think taints the men's game to start sneaking into the women's game when Celtic and Rangers go head to head. And let's not forget, there was a suggestion that maybe Celtic and Rangers won the title last season in the women's game because Glasgow City were dominant. Glasgow City are way out in front again, at this point, and look as if they are odds on to win the title.
Aye, we'll maybe get a bit of the truth for Ruffy after the show then, when he's saying that that's not the sort of thing you want to see in football. Rubbish. Everybody loves incidents incidents like that. Everybody's been talking about this, you know. You need the two of them to sort it out, and if any action is to be taken against the Craig McPherson boy, then fine, you'd imagine you need to start with the club.
Are you of the opinion that any PR is
No,
good?
you know what, I heard the commentary, was it last week, that boy Mitrovic, in that instant, Fulham man, you know, and the commentary over the top of that was saying, this is not the sort of thing we want to see in football. You think, aye, we do. Particularly if you've got no interest in Man United and Fulham. I'm not interested in who wins that game. I'm not interested in the diamond formation that Fulham are playing. You want to see stuff like that, and I'm sorry, unless you're being an absolute liar and a rogue. Folk were loving that last night and have been talking about it all day today.
Yeah. Okay, don't forget, Tam Cowan's here with Liar, Rogue and Other Liar.
I mean, you texted me the day and said it was great to see something interesting happening in a women's game. I'm not having that. I've been flamed for that in the past.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fine.
To be perfectly honest with you, when I saw it this morning and I thought to myself, you know, that is... my immediate reaction was quite simply, it's not something you want to see in that game, because I think they're on to...
So when you were watching the Oscars and Will Smith went up and they clout it, Chris Rock, you thought, I wish we'd get back to David Niven presenting it.
You'll never,
you know what, a lot of rubbish.
You'll never believe this. I've never watched Hitch or AI or any of his other movies since. But listen, the point is this: if you want to get a crowd at the game, the one great selling point that we've actually been discussing, I mean, everybody loves a noise up, right? But the one great selling point from the women's game is, you know, you can take the family. You can go and the family, there's less of an edge to it. I don't mean that in a disparaging way. I'm talking about you can take the family, go and see the game. This is in England and here in Scotland as well. There's less of an edge to, you know, people sitting in the crowd. You couldn't put Celtic and Rangers fans mixing with each other in the crowd at a men's game, could you?
Yeah, there's less of an edge, but the game is still Rangers Celtic, so the players and the coaches still have that same level of passion to win a derby. And okay, obviously Craig McPherson's made a mistake. Probably the mistake is, if you're going to get done for headbutt them, you might as well have done it proper in the first place. but you know, I know Franny's a lovely fella, so I don't really know what happened or what instant it's
I think the red missed. I think if we want to be fair about it, because it was a late goal, and no matter what level, you know, you see that in a boys' game down in the park, you know, if somebody scores a late goal, it's important, you'll immediately get maybe a reaction in the sideline. So you know, I think that's got something to do as well. But if there's ever a thing, there was folk talking about the police and all stuff like that, you know, I think first and foremost, if the clubs can deal with it, and maybe it is important, not joking aside, to put out a wee bit of a message, because you're right, the women's game, and when I've taken my wee girl to see a couple of the Motherwell women's games, you know, I'm not going to lie, she was more taken by the size of the crowd at the men's game. When I took her to see a Motherwell Hearts game, you had 7,000 there, of course, you know, that was a big thrill for them, but it was a different atmosphere, but dare I say it, a nicer atmosphere, of course, at the women's game, and that, you know, removing my tongue from my cheek, that is why that is unacceptable.
No, I think something will come from it. What happens, whether it's going to be the police get involved in it, they're certainly going to view the incident. We always try and read out a few things on it with regards to it. Paul Andrew Martin is just talking a lot of crap, Paul, and you're part of a group of people who have an easy pop at the media. He says, as usual, PLZ brushes it away with a laugh and a joke. The fear of Rangers in our media is pathetic. What a load of crap from you, Paul, because if there's anything on this programme over the 10 years, is if there's something to be criticised, we'll give you an opinion. We won't basically dance around it like other broadcasters I know, and I think we've fallen foul of a fair few people who've been unhappy with it. But at the end of the day, we give a balanced view on it, and if you want to go on another platform, Paul, you're more than welcome to, because the one thing we have managed to do, Ruffy, is give an opinion and criticism of incidents right across the board. This one, as we started with, because Paul's obviously got something stuck in his ears, this one, as we started with, is something that I don't think is good for the game. I think they are looking for every selling point they possibly can to get people in. And if it happens to be that it's less of a really bad atmosphere, then that's a good selling point. People might look and go, we'll go to the women's game because we're not going to get the noise ups and the foul language that you get elsewhere.
Yeah, and the women's game has been very vocal about getting sponsorship and getting some kind of equality. And to get that, you've got to be seen to be enjoying your football. The football's good, people like watching it, you attract sponsors, and this kind of thing is something you don't want, but it's obviously, as Tam said, it's something that's been going on during the game, a bit of verbal and that, and then all of a sudden, unfortunately, the boys just lost it at the end. Maybe somebody said something to him or whatever, and he'll be fined accordingly. I'm like Tam, I don't want police involved. Let's just
no, I don't think so.
Deal with it.
Well, you look at anybody headbutting or anybody getting involved in a fracas trackside anywhere else, right? In any other game. Even if it's a men's game, I don't think it should be treated any differently because it's a women's game. But if you look at it, in some games, there's maybe the authorities can deal with it, and there's a club fine or they're banned from the touchline for 2 or 3 games. You add Celtic and Rangers into the mix, and suddenly you've got government. Let's have a summit. Let's have a meeting. Let's change the rules. Let's make another law. I give you Neil Lennon and Ali McCoy's trackside, and then there was a full summit into it. On the 2 of them, basically handbags, having a noise up with each other, and then squaring up to each other. And then after that, the fallout from it was mental.
Yeah, it was. I think obviously there's a large demographic west of Scotland, and they maybe try and regulate behaviour in a certain way. I think that pretty much backfired from the government's regulatory point of view.
Yeah.
But Tam would probably tell us, like Lee Erwin incident, Rangers.
Bilal Moshney.
Yeah, I mean, did that end in a police investigation or any kind of...
I think, to be honest with you, because there was so much bedlam going on that day, and then ultimately, no matter what would have happened on the park or at the full-time whistle, because the result was so huge for both clubs, because it meant Motherwell stayed in the top flight, it meant Rangers had to wait at least another season. I think that kind of superseded everything else that was going on, so I couldn't even remember what happened then. But the worrying thing here is, they're maybe very, very fortunate, of course, that it did happen at this level in the women's game with that sort of crowd and that sort of media being attracted to it, or the scale of the media. Because again, when is the Old Firm game this coming weekend? Next weekend, right? The League One,
8th of April.
Right, you've got the League One next week, and then you've got the Cup semi-final the end of April, right? Now, imagine the situation you're saying about Mally McCoy and Neil Lennon. It was handbags and all the rest of it. Right, the handshake, the back of a shouting match, and that was the rest of it. Imagine if there'd been a headbutt in a game like that.
Absolutely. And the other thing about it,
mental.
I mean, quite a lot of people are actually talking here about. Quite a lot of people are talking about the Duncan Ferguson headbutt. That's another one that...
The difference, though, was Duncan had previous incidents with the police prior to that. This is almost like a third strike, if you like, So.
Yeah. There's a great... I told you I did the thing recently with Duncan Ferguson up in Dundee, and quite frankly, when he tells you a catalogue of incidents and speaks very candidly about them, Duncan Ferguson was not jailed for headbutting John McStay.
Yeah.
There was a lot more to it than that, but
was that something he accepted? There was a lot more to it?
Yeah, the guy's a changed man. He's when at the end of the night when I was interviewing him, when I said there's some younger members of the audience, Duncan, what would be your message to them if they've watched your career or whatever, their dads have told them about you, they're here tonight, no believing some of the stories, and he said, just keep away from the drink. He said that was my downfall. He said I enjoyed it too much at the time, maybe had too much of it at the time, and and he'd been 11 years now sober, I think. Wow. So he said it was a big change.
Yep. Here's what Celtic have said in a short statement after the event, and then we'll move on. This is what the Celtic hierarchy had to say. In fact, I'll read it out to you because I've got it here. It said, clearly this is a hugely concerning incident, falling well below any acceptable standard. We understand the matter is now being investigated, and it will be up to the relevant authorities to take any appropriate action. So, with that in mind, we wait to see if, as you say, if it's kept in-house and, Craig McPherson gets punished for it and there's no need for police involvement, then all well and good. But it didn't send out the right image for the women's game, especially at a period where I think most of the PR around the women's game is very, very positive, and crowds are going up and up and up. So, Scotland, Spain, are you optimistic?
Yeah, I'm still positive. I'm staying positive. I've already commented on the weekend. His game, I thought it 1-0. If we were good enough, we should have went on and made it a lot more before the end of the game. But the score line's positive. I'm sure the players would go away. They'd have a good couple of days, talking about it and be up for it. But I think they need to be better than they were at the weekend. I'm still hanging on to getting a draw. I think a draw would be a positive result. A win would be absolutely unbelievable. So, yeah, I'm not looking at a defeat at all. I'm just looking up.
What's your mood?
I agree with Ruffy to that extent, where I think if you're hard to beat and you can maybe play on the break or set pieces and hopefully get a result, I think there's a chance for that. But all the players need to be 100% concentrated for the full 90 plus minutes, otherwise you could get picked off by a killer pass or a bit of magic. But you've got to believe at home you can dig in and at least get a point, hopefully.
Yeah, I think that's the most optimistic anyone can be, Tom.
I mean, I'd bite your hand off right now for a 0-0. I think that would be terrific, because the bottom line is, it always a bit flat on Saturday. Now, I know it's a two-way street, but the fans seem very flat for the start, and we need them to give the players a lift, but vice versa, we need the players, if you like, to give the fans a lift, and there was just nothing there. There was no connection. But think of the amount of times in the past where we maybe haven't played at our best and we've come away with a draw or something, the right sickener,
Yeah.
Ultimately we won 3-0, and that was when we weren't playing particularly well, so I think you've got to be optimistic. I'm quite enjoying the fact that right across West Central Scotland, any weather forecast is saying 100% rain for the entirety of today, because the pitch was cutting up a bit on Saturday. Any advantage we can have over a slick team you're imagining like Spain has got to be jumped upon, so that might be decent as well. But I think a draw would be a magnificent result.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried though if we have people, Ruffy, who have bought the commemorative top at 120 quid or 90 quid, and the ones who've managed to get a hold of the fake ones at a tenner. I'm just worrying whether the wet suddenly will affect the fake the fake Scotland top.
There's that badge.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, there's quite a few people trying to get their hands on them. The new ones come. There's a commemorative box coming out, Tam, and
there's one with a bottle of whiskey or something.
It's a wee bottle of whiskey, and you get a coin with it.
Oh.
And yeah, that's what I was thinking. And then, of course, the top as well, and then the box.
Well, you know what? It was only last week in the show that you put up the pictures of the top and all the rest, and we were raving about it. But at that point, I had no idea they were looking for 90 quid for a top. That's absolutely hideous. And
he's not getting
there has been a backlash, but it's awful. And I think even the kids are they're 50 quid, is it, for a kids one?
Yeah. I mean, it's a belter of a top. I mean, Phil marked them. They've got it really kind of a retro feel about it. It's excellent, isn't it?
But you know what? If I was, I'm not going to the game tonight. But if I was, as much as I hate seeing all the wee guys doing it, particularly in English football, I'd have my cardboard sheet. Please, can I have your top? And then I put it straight on eBay. That would be it. But no, it's a cracking top, but there's no way a football top should be 90 quid.
There's a surprise one for everybody who's buying this commemorative one, because there's a special one. It's a Jim Baxter one.
Yes, and there's only 50 of them.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you one thing that's quite good about it, although if you have a look at the group table, early days, but at least we're in second place. I would take that if that was how it finished, Ruffy, by the end of the whole campaign.
Our game is important tonight, but I'll be looking at Georgia-Norway game. I think that could be quite significant. We can judge, who is going to be our challengers, because I think we're all accepting that Spain's going to win that. Let's see how good Norway and Georgia are.
Is that tonight as well?
That's 5 o'clock tonight.
Oh, that's 5.
So we'll get a wee idea, But again, if we can come away for this one, and everybody's smiling and happy and going home and looking forward to the next game rather than getting beat and I'm going, oh no, you've got another one coming up.
Can I ask you boys this one? I've had this debate with a variety of folk ever since Saturday when we realised that big Haaland, Erling Haaland was out of the Norway team on Saturday night, and lo and behold, Spain beat them 3-0. We were discussing it on Saturday, and then I've discussed it with a variety of different pals and other colleagues since. My argument when it comes to Haaland is that when Norway are due at Hampden, if I thought Haaland was playing, I would buy a ticket, because the guy is absolute dynamite. Where do you stand? Do you want the guy injured and no on the plane for the Scotland game, or would you like to go there and be able to watch a guy like him, an absolute genius, with your own eyes? Where do you stand, Peter?
I'm always of the opinion that I think it's an absolute joy to see any of them. I can remember sitting in the press box when they played Croatia, and he was, I think he was maybe 18 years of age, Modric, and I thought, and I looked and I said, oh, he'd be a great signing for somebody, and half of Europe were chasing him at the time. Joy to watch. Benzema, the same. Messi, when Celtic were being dismantled 7-0, he was just absolutely outrageous. There's certain players, Neil, you just want to be there, isn't it?
Yeah, you want the best players to turn up and play. For both sets of fans would like good players to play in the game as more entertainment, and that's ultimately what fans are there to be entertained. They want their team to win, of course, but they want the best players in the pitch.
And they're not quite a one-man team, though. That's the thing. I mean, Barcelona have come to, let's use Celtic Park as an example, without Messi, and they have still given Celtic a bit of a roasting. But so it's not as if, that's how the debate kind of started with some of my pals. They're saying, well, you take Haaland out of that team, and they're very average. But I'm not too sure that's the case. I just like to watch. If you've paid money to go to a football match, I just like to watch the very, very best, And I know that means that might be to the, that might have a negative impact on Scotland, of course, in terms of the result. If the big man pops up and gets a hat-trick or something, but I just think you want to see these guys in the flesh, surely to goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Spain are going to win it. But the odd goal, if I'm wrong, I'm going to be absolutely ecstatic that I'm wrong.
Yeah, I hope we get the first goal. I think if we get the first goal, we've shown that we can be organised. We can show that we're going to be hard to get beat. We saw it with England in at Wembley. I thought that was a tremendous performance. I think we're better, if we get a goal and sort of sitting in and saying, right, let's see how good you are, and they defend properly. But we're saying there, you've got to defend properly. You've got to up your game for the weekend. You're going to be tested tonight where you were never tested at the weekend. So there's a lot of questions out there. There's a lot of answers. Are we a good back three, or is it a back four, or is it a five, or what is it? So it'll be interesting to see how he sets his stall out.
Yeah.
But I would like to see us in the first 20-25 minutes being on the front foot and letting them know that they're away from home and we're the home team.
And you know what? You can happily have a wee pop at Cyprus if you like, because I know we're almost brought up to want to criticise Scotland and criticise our own team and our own players and all that. But Cyprus offered absolutely nothing at the weekend. So it wasn't really a test for the guys that were in there. We didn't really know. I mean, guys in there like the Porteous and Hanley, for example, they didn't really, they were under no pressure throughout the game. So we couldn't imagine what they're going to be like then tonight when they come up against top end players. Your man Brian Gunn's lad, he'd kind of one save to make, so we don't know what he's going to be like when they're firing him in full angles. So
I always think it's the same as what Tam was saying. I always think it's the same for the two halves of the season domestically. I always think, Rangers and Celtic and to an extent Hearts, and then the teams that sadly don't get to the group stages who play in Scotland, I always think you get a real gauge of our standard when you're coming up against teams that you don't normally play domestically, and then you find out from August to December whether your defenders are any good, whether they can play at that level, whether they can move up to Champions League or Europa League or Conference.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing at a different level tonight against Spain, that's for sure. And I think they always, like Celtic played Shakhtar, and Mudryk was a surprise, I suppose, maybe not a surprise for Celtic, but he was hard to handle. And you get these players that are
He's a surprise for Chelsea, Neil, because he hasn't kicked a ball for them. How much did they pay?
Sorry, he's got a 7-year contract. He'll come good.
Needs a bit of time to bed in. That's fantastic.
No, but in terms of the Spain thing, and Ruffy talking about, if you play a 3 or whatever, I think they'll be forced to play a 5 just by the fact that they won't have the ball.
Yeah.
And
well, I think he's looking at 3-5-2. Yeah, and the full backs will drop in.
Because they'll end up not having the ball, and the more or less they'll have to defend.
Yeah.
Which makes it harder to break out, I suppose. But
and what about that team then? I mean, there's no Jack, there's no Adams, so he'll tweak it a bit to try and give him that. I mean, you would be hard pressed not to include McTominay.
Yeah, I think you need a lot of players with energy and legs against Spain, because you don't have the ball, so you'll be chasing the ball or covering. And I think fullbacks will be important to the wing backs, because ultimately they're the ones that are going to have a hard shift tonight in an offensive sense if Scotland have any chance to get a goal or progress up the park. But yeah, I'm sure it's a good squad. Yeah. You'll know exactly who's in his squad and what they can deliver for them.
Well, the one thing we don't really know is how good are Spain going to be on the night. Tam's happy that it could be raining out there. Over and above that, they're not the Spain that went European Championship, World Cup, European Championship. This is a team that's different. And over and above that, you've got a situation where the manager is looking at a team that are ranked 10th in the world. I think there's some 30 places above Scotland, but he's still expecting quality.
They've changed quite a lot of players from the World Cup. But all the players are still quality players. They understand the system, they understand how they want to play. I watched their game against Norway the other night, and the team looked pretty similar in terms of what they did. Maybe a little bit more, I was going to say adventurous going forward. That wouldn't be fair on the previous coach, because I think they were adventurous then.
That's the thing about it. We've just got to wait and see exactly how good or how bad they are. I'm hoping they have an off night.
Well, I think we're all hoping that. We're hoping some of the players, the big players, have got off night, particularly their midfield. I think the midfield's always important in these games. They control the game. They dictate, the pace that the game's going to get played at. So no, they've got some 3 or 4 guys who have got to impress the manager. They've got guys who haven't really established themselves in that team. So they'll be, no, I wouldn't say pressure, but they're a wee bit anxious, So I think this is the right time to get them now, than wait until next year when they've got their act together. I think this is the right time.
And what you need as well, Peter, you need it right for the off the night, for the first whistle. I think you need Scotland to get right in about them, because we're seeing how the crowd were pretty flat on Saturday. Nightmare scenario tonight is if Spain score an early goal. And the fans that are there have already got drook it in the way into the stadium.
Are you optimistic?
I'm optimistic of a draw, and that's me being super optimistic, but I just don't want to repeat that. A match like that, Scotland-Spain, which you could argue as well should maybe be made more widely available to the people in Scotland, rather than one of the more obscure, could I say that, subscription channels, but that's an issue for the SFA. But the fans that go there, they're paying a lot of money to go there. We really, really want to give them something to shout about. That's the bottom line. So we need to get right in for the start. And you imagine an early goal would take the roof off the place,
Can we have double standards when it comes to broadcasters getting the games and putting money into the game? I think we've already gone down that road where we've sold our soul to the devil.
Okay, no, the horse has bolted, you're quite right, and you know what, Viaplay, let's give them their name and give them the credit, as I'm now going to do, because they came up with the money, and they are pumping the money in, you're right. But in terms of all these things like the crown jewels and all that, as you hear it, there's I'll think of my father, who I'm going down the road to see later on, who's 89. I'm sure my dad would have loved to have been able to be in his favourite armchair the night watching Scotland against Spain. It's all just looks a great fixture on the telly. Absolutely no chance he's going to get a ticket and go there, and he's not going to take out a subscription for Viaplay, so it's a shame, but that's the way the world turns just now.
Certainly not at 89. You're not going to take a subscription out.
Well, a wee 3-month one.
Jimmy says, I think Gunn will be the Scotland player with the most touches on the ball tonight. He says, I reckon he'll be picking the ball out of the net 4 times at least. So there are, a number of fans that might think this is just not going to go our way. But
definitely Gunn that's playing.
Well, I would imagine so, because he's been in for that first one. He didn't actually have anything really to do, so he's going to get it tonight. He's going to have a lot to do tonight. Lyndon Dykes reckons that we could maybe surprise Spain because we've got a number of quality players.
We've got great players. We've got players that play in the Premier League, which is probably the best league in the world. We've got great depth, like I said. So we just need to be positive, and we need to make sure that the crowd are behind us, and we need to make sure it's a hard game for Spain. So whoever comes to Hampden, they know they're in for a game.
Well, the last time we played them, October 11th, 2011, Ruffy, and here's the Scotland starting 11 from that night, which is interesting. Look at that team, Ruffy: McGregor, Hutton, Caldwell, Berra and Bardsley, Morrison, Fletcher, Bannon, Adam, Naismith and Mikhail Smith. God, remember him?
Mikhail Smith. Wow.
Yeah, remember him, Neil? Wow. Yeah. Good shout. Was it Peterborough?
Peterborough.
Wow. I mean, that's... I mean, even then, we weren't qualifying for tournaments, and you look at some of the players in there.
Yeah, but I think the current group actually is... they've got a good balance, and I think Stevie Clark has worked really hard to generate that almost club-like spirit at international level.
Yeah.
Players all know each other. And he actually, all coaches should do it, but some don't. He's playing players in the positions that they're used to playing in, which actually makes a difference. Because just looking at that lineup, I mean, you'd think Charlie Adam would be in central mid and Barry Bannon would be wide, or maybe Bardsley's been a right-footed player playing the left back. Maybe you wouldn't want that, So it's. I think when you play horses for courses and play the right players in the right positions and have a good team spirit, I think Scotland have got a good group.
Yeah. The night a team died, do you remember that phrase in
Portugal,
football?
yes.
The night a team died, well, it was Portugal. I just got a flashback there when you look at that 2011 Scotland against Spain. The team that died that night was myself and Michelle McManus. Yes. Because remember, we famously got 4 weeks together, me and Michelle, presenting the hour on STV. That was the final nail in our coffin. The first week we were on against us was the final of the Great British Bake Off, which was the first ever series.
I'll never forget
so
that.
Everybody was watching that. Yep. The second week that we were on, we were up against the murderer being revealed in River City. And then the third week we were on, Scotland played Spain. Fourth week we went back and thought, see ya. That was that. 4 weeks. So I get flashbacks with that all the time.
And funnily enough, 4 weeks is right up there with American TV, because that's what they're like.
Oh, they don't hang about.
Pilot, programme 1, 2 and 3, and then if it's not working out, boom, that show.
And I thought the two of them were just beginning to gel.
Oh, there was a there was a chemistry. There was definitely a chemistry. Unfortunately, it was oil and water, but nevertheless,
it doesn't work out for all, is it, STV?
You're absolutely
At least I just got on with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Some people need to let it go. What about Spain that night? What a team they had. Have a look at this. Neil, what about that? Valdez, Puyol. By the way, I just thought I'd tell you, Puyol, Ruffy thought he was a dud. Piqué, Ramos, Alba, Xavi, Busquets, Cazorla, Pedro, Silva and Villa. And that wasn't even them at full strength, by the way.
And you've got to think probably about 8 of them are Barcelona, so it's almost like a club team.
Yeah.
How many of them, you've got up, how many of them are still playing, Peter?
Busquets is still playing, Ramos is still playing. I think Piqué is in the latter part of his career. Puyol's retired. Valdez, I don't think is playing. I think Alba's still playing. Yep. Cazorla, he was at Arsenal as well. Do you remember him, Neil? Pedro.
Some team, man.
Oh, Villa was playing in the MLS. Xavi's not playing anymore.
Beat 2-1.
3-1.
3-1. That's not bad.
Not bad, isn't it?
Who are the star guys tonight? We keep talking as if this is a brand new Spanish team. It can't be.
Morata's still playing, isn't he?
Yeah.
He was the main striker, I think, at the weekend.
Yeah, but to be perfectly honest with you, you've got guys there that are not the household names that they used to be. So I think from that point of view, everybody's wondering what style are they going to play. They're certainly not going to. I mean, I don't see them playing the tiki-taka of old that eventually got them the lovely mix of the core of Barcelona, a sprinkling of Real Madrid, and then one or two others that managed to get themselves into that European Championship side. And as you say, they kept it like a club side. Del Bosque, European Championships, then on to the World Cup, then again winning the European Championships.
I think what Stevie Clark's mentioned already, they'll play in a typical Spanish fashion, I suppose, in terms of being patient, keeping the ball. I think a criticism of the team that got knocked out of the World Cup was they're a bit too predictable. Again, Stevie Clark's alluded to the fact that they're maybe a bit more adventurous with this type of coach. So I think you'll, maybe not fortunate for Scotland, you might have a good mix from the Spanish eyes of being patient with the ball, having good possession, but being maybe a bit more clinical, ruthless, and taking more chances in the final third.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to wait and find out. But as you look at some of the players now, again, you've got a broader mix, I think, Ruffy, than the core that used to be Barcelona in that side.
I think they're all waiting to see if the young boy that we were all expecting wonders.
Gavi.
And they never really did it in the World Cup, but he'll have learnt for that experience. I'd be interested tonight if he is going to be one of the new big ones of the future, because they were talking him up no end at the World Cup.
I think the one, Danny Olmo from, is he at Leipzig now? He played against Rangers, he must have, in the Europa League.
Yeah, he is at Leipzig.
I think he was probably one of their best performers in the World Cup as well, and I saw he played at the weekend, didn't he? So,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, you look at the front line, Morata, Pino, Joselu. Joselu might come in, he's 33. Aspas, Oyarzabal, Williams, who's at Athletic Bilbao, Olmo, you mentioned, at Leipzig, and Iglesias, who's at Real Betis, not the singer, Ruffy. But I mean, that's the type of forward line that they can call on. And quite a number of them. In fact, there's very few of them that are young. You're looking at Williams, Pino is another one, and Olmo are in the early 20s. The rest of them are older, So
who's the goalkeeper?
Well, it's certainly not Victor Valdez, that's for sure. Your goalkeepers now, Raya, Amizabalaga and Sanchez. So one of them plays for Chelsea, as we know, Brighton and Hove Albion and Brentford. 3 Spanish goalkeepers, all from English football. Changed days, Ruffy, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Because in your day, the guy who I absolutely loved his name, Zubizarreta, it was just the best name ever for a goalkeeper, wasn't it?
Yeah, they always had the top goalkeepers, Casillas and all them. Super, yeah, but they've always been, but they've not been playing in England. They've been playing in Spain with Barcelona, Real Madrid, but they'll be top goalkeepers. We just need to test them.
I think it's one to almost sit back and enjoy and hope for the best and say, right, come on Scotland. I totally agree with Ruffy that this is the right time to get them, because you get the feeling that's a team that's going to get better and better and better as the group progresses. So hopefully catch them off guard tonight. And at least buoyed by the 3-0, the 3 goals in Saturday, even if it wasn't a terrific performance. And let's see what happens. Yeah, 0-0 would be great though, wouldn't it? Yeah, I know nobody particularly likes a 0-0, but wow, that would be, to be sitting there joint top of the group after playing Spain, that would be magic.
It would be fantastic. Kepa possibly in goal, Balda, Fernandes, Laporte, Carvajal, Marino, Rodri, who's a good player, you know him, Ruffy, Aspas, Morata, Gavi and Olmo that Neil mentioned. That is the tried and trusted. That's more or less their starting 11, and that's the team that dismantled Norway by 3-0.
Yeah, by all accounts, when they were 1-0 against Norway, Norway had 2 or 3 chances, and I think their goalkeeper had a couple of good saves. So if you're getting chances against them, at least you're hopeful, But I still think, as Tam says, first 20 minutes, we've got to get the crowd up. We've got to get the ball in the box. I don't care how you get there, get firing it up to Dykes and letting him bully in a few centre-halves, and get McGinn round about him, Armstrong if it's Armstrong, and let's have shots at goal. Let's get everybody, lifted. We don't want to be sitting back and saying, right, have possession. Let's see how good you are, because they are good.
Yeah, okay, I'm going Spain to win 2-1. What are you?
1 each.
Still sticking 1 each?
No,
you love that score.
I love a 0-0. You're always winning until somebody scores.
Yeah.
Hoping for a 0-0, but I'd say 3-1.
Yeah, 3-1 to Spain.
They're 3-1.
Yep, okay. You and I are just a barrel of laughs, aren't we? Anyway, you can give us your thoughts on it. What's going to happen in that match? We'll discuss it in great detail tomorrow once we look over the 90 minutes and see if there is indeed a star in the dark blue of Scotland who can upset Spain. Fingers crossed. Didn't quite go according to plan for Republic of Ireland last night. It was an absolute belter of a goal that won it for France, wasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly was. But again, if you were going away for that game, holding France to 1-0 with the players that they've got, you would think that was something you can build on, and I'm sure they will, but I hate getting beat 1-0.
Yeah.
Horrible score. That is horrible.
Yeah.
That is.
You just probably hate getting beat, Ruffy.
Yeah,
What's the most painful 1-0 you've had in your career?
Probably Hunters.
Yeah.
I just can't put my finger on it.
Too many to mention. Right, okay.
Was that the first time they'd played since the Thierry Henry incident? The handball, the double handball.
That's a good shout, isn't it?
Because last night, the only reason I'm saying that, I've not seen the goal. I was at a small social gathering last night, and the only thing that could have dragged us into a pub to watch it was the chat that we were having about, this is a grudge game, this is a grudge game. Now, if it is the first time they've played since then, because that was bedlam at the time.
I think actually FIFA ended up playing Republic of Ireland £5 million.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think they actually, for their exclusion from the...
How did they manage to squander it? Because they were bankrupt last year.
I know.
What World Cup would that have been for? Was it the World Cup that it denied?
Yeah, it was a good
Was it the one you had Roy Keane walking his dog and all that? The one where he'd bailed out?
No, it wasn't that one.
VAR would have picked up the Terry on replay.
Oh, absolutely. The cameras at the time saw it, but
to be fair,
didn't matter.
Michael Jordan picked up on it as well. It was that long a handball on it, wasn't it? It was just outrageous. But listen, at the end of the day, I think they got a payout of some sort from FIFA, if my memory serves me correct on it. Wales are taking on Latvia tonight as well. New captain, Aaron Ramsey. Remember him?
Yeah, I remember him. He didn't do particularly well when he came up here. We're all expecting a lot from him, but it never materialised. I think he'd been out of the game for a wee lot. I think he played for a while, so maybe that was it. But he's back playing international football. Well done to him, and well done in the result, because we saw what happened to us when we played them. They totally outclassed us, but to get a late goal is a tremendous result. Well, as a new captain, Aaron Ramsey is hoping that this new current breed playing for Wales can make their own bit of history.
Obviously, changes were going to be made in the game, and but we know with these younger players, these players who have maybe not experienced it before, they're hungry, they're ready to try and make their mark, and I said last week about players coming in now and making their own history. So for Nate to come in and get the winner in the last minute was brilliant on his debut. Yep, Aaron Ramsey didn't do too well up here, but still, you can still look back and say he scored in an Old Firm game. Well, that's true, and I think, to be fair, he had injury issues, I think, when he was at Rangers, and there were moments where he played fairly well, albeit the manager used to take him off after a certain period of time whenever you get a good run in the team. And I think short-term loadings are always pretty difficult to hit the ground running. Maybe if he was there for a longer period of time, he'd have shown better, but he's perhaps similar to Gareth Bale in the sense that he loves playing for his national team and he reserves good performance for the national team. It's a strange thing, isn't it? Honestly, it's great playing for your national team, but surely club football and where you earn your living and how much you're getting paid, you want to do your best absolutely for the club that you're playing for. And that's Gareth Bale completely chucked at, eh? Yeah, just plays golf and very good at it as well, because he's played it often enough. And he's what age is he? Bale, he must be about 33, 34. I don't think he's... Can you imagine what he would do to any league? So many leagues that we can think of, he could just light up that league. Well, not only that, Tom, but just out of curiosity, gain something back. He doesn't need another cent in his entire life. What about the €600,000 a week? Would you have been able to? Would you have changed as a person with €600,000 a week? Yeah. I'd have deleted your name out of my phone right away. No, you're right, it's silly money. I still wonder, see when the absolute great players like Gareth Bale, see when boys like him in this era in which we now live are able to go out and still perform, because you do think that it must be very easy for him every now and again, there's a cash line machine, I think I'll just go and see how much of it. The screen's going away around the corner, you think unless you're a robot
then it must be pretty easy to switch off, or that feels like a wee niggling injury, So I really, really respect the absolute pros who go out there. They're earning their fortunes, good luck to them, but they can still do the job 100%.
Well, funnily enough, Neil, the amount of multi-millionaires at the absolute top level, it's not about the money. I think a lot of the stories, that you read and you watch interviews, and I've spoken to, big players, it's not about the money, it's the competitive edge of playing the sport and being the best you can be and still chasing the silverware or the victories more than anything else. It's like an adrenaline rush.
Well, I think the perfect example is Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
In fantastic shape. What age is he? 36, 37?
38 now, I think.
Yeah.
And I think for him, he wants to be the best player in the world and leave a legacy of the highest goal scorer for Portugal, record number of caps, whatever the case may be. So, I think at that kind of level, it's personalities. You'll have some people that will make a lot of money and their, desire goes, but then you've got others who are naturally just want to be a winner all the time.
Well, there's a couple of people I've mentioned a name on here which actually, is worth talking about when you look at players who want to play, and then all of a sudden, you think they're fabulous players, go to a big club, and then they almost disappear into oblivion. Eden Hazard, he can't get a game for Real Madrid, and he's almost like just a forgotten man now. He must be on absolute hundreds of thousands of pounds as well.
Ozil to a certain extent.
Mesut Ozil, he's just retired,
when he went to Arsenal, he had a bad time of it for a period of time, and then his career sort of went in a slide a little bit, and he didn't put in the same level of performances. Still getting paid, fine.
Our producers just said Antoine Griezmann, but at least Antoine Griezmann, when he's playing, he's a player. He plays and he's good. He had a wee blip in his career, but he's earning his money, Ruffy. He's well worth it.
Yeah, but it just shows you that the football players are the same as everybody else. You get different kind of players. You get players who have a lot of money and still want to win trophies, and you can't imagine there will be a lot of players out there who got a lot of money and go, I'm not getting picked. I'm not playing, so why do I bother? I don't need this.
It's a separate conversation, but there's a lot of academies in England that pay the players a lot of money early.
Yeah.
And I think at a young age, a lot of players can lose desire because they're millionaires by the time they're 20, 21.
Yeah, and they haven't actually managed to get 50 games.
There was a story in the papers a couple of weeks ago. There was a young player at Arsenal, I can't remember his name, but they had to go round to his house and take a Ferrari, a Lamborghini and an Aston Martin off him. And he hadn't even hit the first team.
Yeah.
So where's their mindset?
And then in terms of guys that love the game and know they've already done well out of it, that boy weeks ago now in Spain who went down the divisions to join his original club, who were in all sorts of trouble. You remember that fella? I could never remember his name, but he basically thought, I've had a great career, I've made plenty of money, my club that gave me the start in life are really, really struggling, and he went and joined them free of charge, and I think he scored 2 goals in his first game for him.
There's been a couple of players like that.
Incidentally, before we leave money, because I'm pitched here and I can read your screen, the guy that said that if Tam had £600,000 a week that the shareholders in Greg's would be rubbing their hands, that's great. I like that sort of part, right? But the guy that was wrong says if Tam had 600k a week, would he still condone headbutting? No, I never condoned headbutting. I said I would like them to sort it out themselves before you have to get the authorities involved.
I actually looked at the start of the programme, and
it was him that I wasn't condoning, saying that you don't like to see things like that.
I know.
That's what we're all talking about. But you can't condone it. No, of course. I know in such a cowardly way, but it was when a guy's got his back to you. Me.
I think the Celtic comment was also pretty well measured in the sense that they would want the authorities.
Get on with it.
Not the police, but
listen,
the relevant authorities, which I imagine with the SWPL and the clubs.
You'll never change the narrative on the feed, Tam. At one point, some people have got selective hearing, and of course, the last thing they want is for me and my usual Ruffy, get my metal studs on and just fire one right back at them. What about Aberdeen? It looks as if Barry Robson's going to get it till the end of the season, and I don't think anybody can argue with it.
Well, the bottom line is the weekend before last, the Aberdeen fans in a boisterous fashion were all singing one Barry Robson. There's only one Barry Robson. When did you last hear the Aberdeen crowd cheering, singing the praises of a manager?
Yeah.
You know, so he's definitely made an impact. They liked him as a player.
Was it one Ebby Skovdahl?
It might have been, I don't know. I wonder who it was, genuinely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alex Smith, I don't know, but...
you remember the classic Ebby Skovdahl quote?
Oh, aye.
Miniskirts.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of folk can't... I know it's about miniskirts. Do you know the exact quote?
Isn't that like statistics are like miniskirts? They look good, but they hide the important details.
Yeah, well, that's not one of Eb's best ones, to be honest with you. And to be fair, when I look at I put a list together since Alex Ferguson of all the managers that have come in since Alex Ferguson, and they haven't really. I mean, there's been the odd Scottish Cup, Alex Smith, bumped. Roy Aitken, League Cup, bumped, because subsequent managers all the way have, and Aberdeen fans don't now, this generation do not care about Sir Alex Ferguson's achievements. They want the here and now history. They want people to play for Aberdeen and create something special for them now. But the amount of managers that were coming through, I put a list together. Ruffy, it's incredible the amount of managers that have gone through since Ferguson left, and there's not been that much success. There's not been a lot. There's been League Cups and the odd Scottish Cup. And to be fair to Derek McInnes, he had more than a few second positions, but that was when Rangers were out of the division.
Yeah, I mean, there was a long time that Aberdeen were the third team. You know, they were in that year, 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, when they were second, when we sat here and went, this could be the year that Aberdeen won the league. Celtic were poor, but they never done it. There was a couple of games they just should have won, but never won it, and then they just blew it. So it's been like that for a long, long time. But I think if you're an Aberdeen supporter, and you support the team home and away, you need a pat in the back, because the travelling they must do and the money that it must cost them must be incredible.
I like winding up Celtic Rangers fans every now and again, but just throwing in that Aberdeen have got the best travelling support in the country. And what I mean by that, to qualify that remark, is exactly what Ruffy's saying there, that you can never accuse the guys of being glory hunters, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, if you've got a Wednesday night game and it's Motherwell against Aberdeen, I can assure you there are several folk at Fir Park rubbing their hands together thinking, oh, Aberdeen are in town tonight, because they always bring a magnificent result, a magnificent crowd. And even if you look at the lowest point maybe in the club's history, down at Darvel, the infamous Darvel defeat, every last ticket that they could get their hands on disappeared, and that was a game that was on the BBC that night. You could have watched it away up in the northeast, you could have gone to the pub, you know, but no, the Aberdeen fans came out and had to suffer.
And of course, you should hear the press corps when they have to go to Dingwall. It's just incredible.
Well, you know what?
Yeah, that's just the journalists having to travel up there.
I'm going to sympathise right away, because is that this weekend or the following one? Celtic go to Dingwall.
It's this Sunday.
Is it this Sunday? Now, I know that, and I've got every sympathy. Ross County fans and Inverness fans say, the minute anybody talks about having to travel for the Central Belt up to, we've got to travel every other week for us to get to our games. But I'm sorry, if you take it, the vast majority of die-hard Celtic fans are Glasgow-based, to ask, particularly in those numbers, fans to travel to Dingwall for a game that kicks off at 12 noon on the Sunday. Now, that's setting your alarm to get up on a Sunday to go to a football game, and a game that's on the telly.
I'm going to book into a hotel, Tam, on the Saturday night.
Are you going up for it? Aye, right. Well, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
I'll give you a good name of a hotel.
Even better. I'm looking at Ruffy. You coming up with me, Ruffy? We've been up there before at Inverness. We were up there for Inverness Rangers, I think.
I like Dingwall. I think the boss looked after us.
Yeah, we stopped off in Inverness as well.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
I would love to see
coming up this week then.
This weekend, what am I doing this? I'm actually going to a stag do on Saturday.
Fantastic. Wow, I know somebody that's still getting married at your age. Brilliant. That's fantastic.
Here, with the Celtic fans that are tuned in just now, honestly, put the question out there for them. There'll be some of them that are going to the game on Sunday. They'll know people who are going. What time are you having to leave at on Sunday morning? What time you got to get up? You've got to get sorted. You've either got to go and get the supporters bus, or you might be, I don't know, I'm guessing public transport. That's a non-starter. But even if you were driving, even if you were getting up and saying, I can't bother with a shower today, if you were jumping out of bed, pulling your clothes on, putting your scarf around your neck and into the motor, you're still looking at
8, half 8.
It's on a Sunday, for goodness sake.
Right, okay, I've put it up there. Right,
good.
Okay. Anything else you want me to do?
No, there's one other thing I want to say to you that sums up. I'm glad I remembered this, and it might be the same hotel I was going to suggest to you. I was up in the Black Isle, up that neck of the woods when you just go over the bridge, right? Inverness, and then the Black Isle is just there. I was up there doing a wee restaurant review a few years ago, and it was about a week or so after, and I can't remember, it was either Celtic or Rangers had been going up to Dingwall, and the lovely girl in the hotel that I was chatting to, she told me what had unfolded the previous week or so, and what had happened was the weather had been miserable. There had been a minibus of these supporters had come up for Glasgow. They all, of course, had paid for the minibus. They all, of course, had a match ticket. They got into the wee hotel. The game was on the telly. They still had another wee leg of the journey to make. There was a lovely wee bar there selling cool, crisp pints of lager. They had a nice wee bit of food on the menu and all that. They took a vote. All the folk that were on the money bus in the hotel took a vote, and they decided to stay there in the Black Isle and watch the game on the telly. And that's what you're up against now. And the authorities and all that have to bear that in mind. It is so easy now. That's where I genuine feel sorry for Celtic and Rangers fans, because they get mucked about something rotten.
I won't be staying in the hotel you're suggesting, Tam, because obviously I'm working, so I'll be going no matter what.
Okay,
I was pretty close to that scenario. Chelsea against Maccabi Tel Aviv, so Martin Bain was the chief exec of Maccabi Tel Aviv, was with a guy, knew Martin Bain, couple of tickets for the Champions League game at Stamford Bridge. Freezing cold Heinekens on tap, the canopies, it's like that football, that's a sideshow.
Oh, listen,
sorry for sneaking in at your screen, but there's a crack. Give him a mention.
No, I'm going to that's exactly why I've stopped it there, because Peg has just said, I'm leaving now.
It's ridiculous. So what a way to treat football fans. We're all treated like mugs.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, just out of curiosity, there's some of the stories before we just are about to finish. Galatasaray, the latest one to be linked with Alfredo Morelos. I think now there's no smoke without fire. It's starting to gather pace that he'll be on his way.
I think it's an absolute guarantee that he won't sign again for Rangers.
Yeah.
And he'll be finding a new club somewhere.
Yeah.
But ultimately,
will they look back with fondness at Alfredo's time there?
I would think the vast majority of fans would say yes.
Yeah.
The number of goals that he scored.
European contribution has been good.
Well, that's it. He's a high scorer in European competition for Rangers. So again, a bit of a record.
Yeah.
And he's still a young player. Ultimately, he'll find wages with these clubs abroad that Rangers can't pay.
Yeah.
And that's the sad reality, and it's a new chapter for him, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he might just have to show a greater level of physical professionalism if he was going to take his career onto another level. But it's just a personal opinion. What about the competition? Still time for you to get involved? Quite a lot of time.
It's another fantastic competition from PLZ Soccer for your chance to win this signed print of Arsenal and Scotland fullback Kieran Tierney by artist Gio Thompson. You have to subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel and put your answers in the comments section below to this simple question. What is Kieran Tierney's Arsenal squad number? So don't forget to subscribe to PLZ Soccer and put your answers in the comments section below. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. Double, who scored? Scotland, Spain, 3-1, 84.
Was it Mo Johnston?
Mo Johnston, yeah, absolutely. Did you play with Morris?
Yep.
Yeah? Yeah. What did you make of him?
Oh, he's a very good striker. Different to McCoist, different to Haitley. They were all different, which again, when you're putting two up front and having a complement is a bit of a strength. But, everyone knows Mo was a technically very good striker and could hold the ball in well, link up the play, and he had an eye for goal. Haitley different, McCoy's different again, a poacher, but Mo was an accomplished player, and he's got a piece of his own place in history up here as well, isn't he?
Yeah, Julie, tell you something, there are some times when somebody's eyes just reveal such a story. You were laughing before you even get the words out of your mouth. Of course, Ruffy, can you imagine McCoist and Mo Johnston in a dressing room. The patter, and let's not forget one of my favourite midfielders as well, Neil, forgive me for this, because we used to have him on the show too. I don't know what it is with Rangers midfielders. Ian Durant, great player.
Great, and to go back to wee Mo, I've got a photograph in the house, wee Mo sitting on my shoulders at Partick Thistle, and he's painting the stadium as a young player. And I knew right then that he was going to be something. You could see in training.
Oh, I thought you said just you could see he was going to be a player from the way he was painting.
No, he was painting, when he was on the ground stuff and he was painting the stand or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it just shows you how you can move on, you know, and be a tremendous player. And Mo was kind of one of these guys, if he needed a hand at any time, he'd give you a phone, you know, and you'd go and help him out.
Yeah,
I've got a painting of 7 Native Americans shoulder on shoulder, all of them absolutely naked.
Here it comes.
As it's a scrotum pole.
I was actually going to say,
listen, can I ask you, the Mo Johnston double, I'm assuming that would have been overshadowed on the night if it's the same game by that goal.
Yeah.
Was it, aye?
Kenny Douglas.
Yeah. Aye, so Mo Johnston get the 2. You wouldn't even have remembered that, really. That was a good answer. Who got it right, Ruffy?
Yes, Morris Johnson.
That might have been his 30th.
Was it?
Kenny's, yeah.
Peach.
Peach.
Imagine somebody scoring one like that tonight. Little day for the crowd.
Fantastic.
3 minutes in.
It's good that you mentioned it more. I used to regularly see him in the restaurant when he'd signed for Rangers. The restaurant was in Edinburgh because he never came through to the west. Just shows you the madness of the city. Anyway, thanks to everyone for their opinions. Some we like, some we don't.
No many birthday wishes in for you, Peter.
No, there isn't.
That's a shame,
actually,
isn't it?
but I'm
Your
really...
birthday?
Yes.
Today?
Yeah.
Why do you not tell people?
Well, can I tell you something? Tam came in with a present. And Tam, how many years have you been on the show, Tam?
Only just a couple. He's been about 40,
Honestly,
I know,
you know what I mean?
poor.
I was sitting in there and I'm thinking, here comes the Kubiak strip. There's the Kubiak strip and it's signed by him as well. And it's the picture.
Got my bottle of Southern Comfort and a scud book. No, I did. On that note.
Bring you a video tomorrow.
Thanks to Tam. Thanks to Ruffy. Thanks to Neil. Thanks for watching.